Hello friends and welcome. Today we're going to look at a Grimstroke replay, Divine 2 or 3 I think. And you sent in a series of questions. Hopefully I'll answer them all naturally as we go. If not, I'll make sure to address them at the end of the video. But while we're waiting here, I think this is a good time to answer one of them, which is when do you start with Stroke of Fate versus Inkswell? So Stroke of Fate, which is what you've started already, I would recommend hold on to the point a little bit, get into that habit. In this case, it's probably fine. But Stroke of Fate is generally good for the lane. You can use it to secure the range creep, use it to do a bit of harass, keeps you very safe because it's quite long range. And I mean, yeah, that's like what it's good for. And it's very useful in tough lanes because it's difficult to go contest that range creep. Maybe you use it to stop a pull. In rough lanes, I highly recommend this Stroke of Fate start. So then the question is, when can we start with Inkswell? Inkswell, I think we had a couple videos on it, but really, for Inkswell to be effective, it needs to go off. It sounds obvious, but you only get the full value of this spell if someone stands next to the enemy hero for a while and then explodes on top of them. If that doesn't happen, you're kind of spending a lot of mana and a big cooldown for like what, 20 damage from like the tendrils. It's like very little. So you need someone good at carrying that Inkswell, and it needs to be an enemy who can't just blink away from it and then completely miss Inkswell. So cases where you might start it are when you can play really aggressive. So actually, I thought you were going to be laning with this Wraith King, and that would have been, that's a good combo. Wraith Fire Blast plus Inkswell. So you Inkswell this guy, he runs at them, he stuns, he hits, you hit, then your stun goes off, combos on the guy who was already stunned and slowed so he can't get away. Easy combo. Both your stuns do like, I don't know, 200 plus damage, and then all your right clicks. It's very effective for the trade. Not good for securing range creeps or anything like that. So it needs to be a lane where you are strong and you have a good laning combo for it. Faceless Void, I would say, is not really that guy. Your starting items, I think, are fine. You've even bought your next set of Tango, so I'm happy with that. Starting with one Tango scares me a little bit, but I think of any game you could do it, this is definitely one of them. You're against Pudge and Sand King, probably. You know, we see two of them, so yeah, definitely that lane. And they don't really... You're dead or you're not. Like, Pudge doesn't really harass you in this day and age. He's going to hook you, and then Sand King's going to go on you. And you'll either live or die like that. So I think it's okay to start with one Tango, but I do recommend getting the next set, which you did. So, let's see. Did this start into the tower? It's already pushing a bit, so we've already got to keep pulls in mind. You've asked him to cut the tree. Gonna make sure it doesn't get blocked here. I think right now you should be harassing the Sand King a bit more, though. Let's go back. God knows where Pudge is right now. And that can be a little scary. So I don't see him... Oh, he did show up somewhere. Where is he? Oh, he did show up at the top rune, I guess, and I just missed it. Okay, so if you were paying more attention than I was, because I was talking... My excuse, I was talking about skill builds, guys. If you see that Pudge is starting in the off lane, or the safe lane, the lane opposite of you. So if he's either going to TP down here, or he's not. Against just Sand King, as soon as you see Pudge, it's very safe for you to come stand out here, because Sand King's not going to kill you on his own, and even if he stuns you, and you end up fighting him, you know, he's a Sand King. He's not going to kill you solo. And you will see Pudge teleport down here. And if you don't see Pudge teleport down here, then you're very safe to just 1v1 this Sand King. So let me show you. So as soon as you see the Pudge here doing all that stuff, I would walk right up to here, somewhere around here, and just watch. Look for the teleport, or look for Sand King. And right now, these creeps won't aggro to you, which means you can just attack this Sand King. And what's he gonna do? He can't really come down. If he tries to fight you, and then you see that Caustic Finale gets applied to you, you know he doesn't have these two spells. Which if you held your spell point, could actually be a reason to start Inkswell then. Because if he starts right-click trading you, you know, make sure you're not right by the tower, because you can't chase under the tower. But say you like run down here a little bit, he's here with you, you Inkswell. Inkswell will explode before he gets back to this tower. And Pudge either has to teleport down here, and if he does, you just walk away. It's okay. You made him use the teleport. Or you're just zoning him while Faceless Void has a 100% free lane. And even though you started with Inkswell, which once Pudge gets down here and Sand King is like laning normally, Stroke of Fate might be a little better. If you secured the very first wave, like straight up, you know, if you zone Sand King here, he's getting literally nothing while Void should, God, I hope, denies and secures every last hit. Who knows? Probably still ends up pushing the lane somehow. But like, you see what happens? Yeah, so it did go into the tower a bit. That would have helped if you stood here. You could see that they're not blocking at all. Then Void wouldn't have had to block. And then like right here, because Pudge isn't here still, and you have to be a little scared because it's like, where is Pudge? But I do think you want to harass very heavily here. And you don't even have to commit to Inkswell. You could still start with Stroke of Fate. I think would be fine. But you could just right-click harass this guy a lot, and he wouldn't be here. And so like at this point, Pudge is still missing. So at that point, you should know that he either walked or like he's throwing the game, one or the other. And in either of those cases, I think you can still safely harass the Sand King and keep your distance a bit. Because you can't pull this wave, right? So this is like the first chance you could get to pull now, which would have required a small camp, which I think you could have done. If you, so you harass. Right now you walk to the small camp. Just as Pudge gets here. But Faceless Void, what'd he start? Oh, that's weird. He should have, I guess it's fine if Pudge isn't here. But now that he has Time Walk, now he's level 2, there's no way he dies. So I think you could do a small pull right now. Half of one, maybe. Do a half pull. Looks like you're coming now to stack. Okay. Did that not stack? Uh-oh. What happened there? Oops, yeah, your path was just a little off. You should just run into this hard camp, I think. Either run to this hard camp, run down, or run straight down. Pulling up this way is a little awkward because of this little crystal here. And you just saw what happened. They blocked themselves a little bit and ended up not stacking, which is unfortunate. But it's a very minor fix. You just walk. You have to walk in a more direct path.
Missing bottom.
You started Stroke of Fate. I'm not sure I've seen it used too much, though. Especially with the Sage's Mask, you want to be poking it a little. I wouldn't use Inkswell there, though. So, funny, I was just saying use your spells a little more. Inkswell is a big one to commit, though. And we just said, unless you get the full value out of it, the stun, the damage, everything, then it's kind of a waste. But you just have to hit them with Stroke of Fate, and then that's pretty good. So, poking with Stroke of Fate to keep your mana pool, like, around here, maybe, since you have the Sage's Mask, I think that's good. But don't casually use Inkswell. Save this for when you're going to get... It's tough to just get full value out of it. But yeah, you need to get full value out of it. So that either means that you and or your carry are going to be able to right-click harass while they're stunned. You're going to make sure the Inkswell goes off completely on one of the heroes. Like, even if you'd gotten the full damage and stun off there on the Pudge, you know, you're not going to kill that Pudge there. It's right by his tower and stuff. It's going to be a little awkward. Oh, this is like, yeah, this is much better. That Inkswell I like a lot more. Yeah, chase this guy out. Void can go back to the creeps, but you can keep chasing. It looks like you're going to keep trying to do this hard pull. So this is actually leading to the next question. One of your questions was, and actually many support players have this question, like, what do I do if they keep contesting my pulls? Well, if you only use this pull camp, it's gonna be contested a lot because it's right next to the lane, and so for one, they can literally see you doing the pull, and because of that, they're standing right here. Like, if the Sand King sees you pull this camp, it kind of looks like you're no, you're not. Okay, good choice. I don't think you should have pulled there, but if you did, he could literally see you doing it. So of course they're gonna come over. So one, to not be contested and pull sounds obvious, but if you're not seen, it gives you a bit more time to do the pull. And for that reason, doing the small camp pull is a little better because it's one, further away from the lane, two, harder to get there for that same reason, and then three, they just don't see you. Oh my god, I can't believe you guys almost killed him. That kind of transitioned, what the game transitioned to your next question, which is like how to help a losing mid lane. I don't know if Zeus should be losing this badly to a Storm Spirit, but it just happens, and it's not really... I mean, what can you do? This one's hard to double stack, because I think both the times are 55. Good try, though. That was very close. Nice use of the ward. I think it's probably possible, but it's tough. Nice, gonna find a pudge kill. Good stuff. Against Storm Spirit versus Zeus. There's like only so much you can do to help the guy. You are not very... Thinking about like when is Inkswell good, it's not very good against Storm Spirit. So it's kind of tough. I think stacking to help... That's very childish, guys. You shouldn't do that stuff. Stacking helps for the Zeus to catch up later. I'm not sure what you're doing there. Rotating like this helps, but as you'll see, it's like hard for you to do anything, right? I guess you're getting the pudge kill, but the more important thing is that Storm is getting the kill on Zeus. One thing you could do if bottom lane looks good, which at this point it does kind of look like sort of okay. Let's see. It's like sort of okay to leave Void at this point. You could take the mid lane and Zeus could go somewhere else and jungle a little bit maybe. But maybe you do just have to stick around. It is kind of hard. An easier double stack, by the way, since you had time, an easier double stack is these two. Because this is a 53 pull, and this is 55. Like, these two are both 55 seconds. That makes it, obviously, you can only do one thing at a time, so it makes it hard. This one, you can auto-attack this at, like, you can do it at, like, 54, and then use your Q to hit this creep wave, and then just, like, stand up here. These creeps will walk out, and hopefully these creeps will walk down to chase you because you used your Stroke of Fate on them, and they'll run down this way. But sometimes they're affected by the slow and it doesn't fully work. But if you want to try that, I think that is a little more possible than doing what you're trying. Little tip here. Especially on a guy like Pudge who's kind of slow. Start with Inkswell. Unless they have an escape that you need to silence. In this case, he doesn't. So what he could do right now is, like, if he thinks he's going to die or anything like that, he could just auto-attack, and in fact, he can keep running and then auto-attack to kill this Phantom's Embrace. And he'll get some gold for it. A little less, thanks to the changes this patch. But he'll still get a little bit for it, and then it'll remove the silence, and it'll put this on a really long cooldown. And especially if you're going for kill attempts, you want this Phantom's Embrace to get refreshed. So start with Inkswell, walk next to him for about a second or two. It depends how fast their attack speed is. Then you throw Phantom's Embrace on them. And if they try to attack it once, they'll probably get that off. But when they try to get the second attack off, Inkswell will explode and stun them. And then in that stun duration, the silence will burst and then come back to you. And then you apply it again to refresh the duration and get more damage. And they might break that one, but at that point, you've already gotten a decent amount of damage from it. It looks like you're going to get the kill anyways. Now, we're starting to... So actually, we are hitting all your questions. I'm kind of glad. We're getting to the point where we have to think about mid-game. You might want to, like, shift Q your courier down. Since you see Storm here, you might want to, like, shift it down and then send it home. Depending on your hotkeys, so for me, I would... If I see that, I'd press 5 because that's what my courier's on. I right-click down here into the tree line, and then I shift-click... For me, it's Q. It depends on what your courier settings are, but Q is return home. What the heck? I think retrieve items is now also the same thing. It's like they combine some of it. So you could do that, or you could just like right click down here, shift right click back to your base. That works too. But that way it only takes you a second to like send the courier home, and you could avoid the storm. Just like a small minor tip. But now think about the mid game plan and your skill build because of it. I want to talk about these two things. You don't have the best combos with Soulbind, so we don't have to worry about that too much. I mean, obviously you can still make some plays around it. But I feel like going into the late game, Void is pretty good. And because Storm is having a rough time and getting killed, you could max Stroke of Fate to help defend waves. You could, if you thought you could get kills and you have good lane combos for Inkswell, so like, for example, the Wraith King, then you can max Inkswell. But in this game, against a Storm, a Sand King, and then Pudge can hook people out, and then you have a Lifestealer Rage, and then he has a stun and a Hex to get away before Inkswell pops. I think Inkswell, not so great this game, but what could be really good this game is this Phantom's Embrace Silence for Storm Spirit and Sand King, and even this Lifestealer a bit. So for the lane, you can get what you want, maybe 2 points in Stroke of Fate if you think you need it for the lane, 2 points in Inkswell if you think you need that. But if you think you could actually get kills, then Phantom's Embrace, getting it to level 3, I usually leave it at 3 because that's when it switches from 2 attacks to 3 attacks to kill. And that could be a big difference for these heroes with escapes. But actually, because the game's not going the greatest for you, mid's losing, you don't have the best like kill combos, Void doesn't really kill people at this point that well, and if he does, it's through Chronosphere, which means he doesn't need your silence. I think maxing Stroke of Fate is good this game. And the reason for that is because if we think about our mid-game plan, based on how your lineup is, like what your draft is and how the game is going, I would say your job is going to be defending waves. Can I kill this guy? It's pretty close. Maybe? Okay, Storm kill. Lion kill. Okay, not bad. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going, buddy? Where are you going? That's so funny. We did this in the last video, too. Let's look at your mana. You even popped the Clarity. So, by the time you get home... You're home now? You're at like half mana. The Clarity's still going. The Bassi you've got. You obviously have no health issues because you still have Tangos and a Salve and these Tranquil Boots. So... I don't know, wasn't that just like 30 seconds? Like you did nothing? I guess it was 20 actually, it looks like. Okay, so right here, you pop the Clarity, 10-19. What are different things we could do? So, top, it's getting pressured. You could walk up here to defend this or get in position. So it would be 3 heroes here going on this Lifestealer. This would almost be off cooldown, so you might be able to use it here. But you could also use Inkswell. You know, slow this guy, and if he rages, he probably just gets away. But if you had your silence ready, you get here, maybe he stuns and he doesn't, like, rage in time, and then you're able to silence an Inkswell on top of him or something. He's an example where you do have to silence right away because you don't know when he's going to rage, so you kind of have to do it. You kind of want to bait it a little bit. You want to, like, start with Inkswell, and most of the time, at this level, I think Lifestealers would not instantly rage. They would wait till the Inkswell is about to explode and then rage. And so you can like wait a second and then be like, aha, silenced. And then he goes, oh no, and then he has to hit it. Lifestealer hits kind of fast though, and I think maybe at this level they also know the silence is going to come out, so maybe they will rage in time. I don't know. But yeah, you could be here attempting this kill, and the odds are better with 3 of you here to kill this Lifestealer than just 2. Plus, you can then pressure this tower. You are good with Wraith King. I would say you want to play with Wraith King or defend waves right now. What else could you do? You have, you are the position 5, so you've got some wards and sentries. You can ward and sentry. Maybe over here, sentry, make sure this place is safe. Storm has been diving around here a lot, so maybe they have vision. So sentry around here, maybe sentry in the back, sentry over here. You could ward. You've got one here, but it's about to expire. So maybe somewhere in this area needs a ward. A lot of things you could do instead of walking back to base. It's kind of a waste of your time. It's like the whole point of Tranquils, guys. It's like never need to come back to Fountain. It's like buy a Clarity and then not go back. 50 gold to stay on the map. And in the 30 seconds it takes you to walk home, you could just kill a stray creep. Like literally just auto attack a camp. Use this no mana. Your Tranquils will heal you up. You can backpack them if you want, or just let them get hit and like whatever, and then you go heal up afterwards. Auto attack a creep, and that'll make you back the Clarity, and you got some experience for it instead of just walking back to base. Now, there are extremes. You know, if you're like way down here and it would take you a while to regen your health and your mana, and you have a huge mana pool, then it's like, okay, maybe I go back. But you had the clarity, you've got the Basilius, heck, you even have this Arcane Ring now. So there's pretty much no reason to go back to base unless you're about to be killed or something.
Now the fight resumes.
I think right now you could play around your... Go for it, man! All mid. That might favor you guys, honestly. You've got some good AoE stuff if everyone's there. They don't have as much AoE, I feel like. They have a PUD. That's kind of scary. Yeah, so you like dewarded that cliff. That's something you could have done instead of going back. Things like that. So right now, we need Void to keep getting farmed. And we don't have any towers. It would be nice to be able to get something going here in terms of a tower. I like that ward. They're playing so aggressive here, so it's fine to do this stuff. I think you could have soul binded back there to help out the Wraith King a bit. I don't mind that attempt. Ooh, a buyback here. Is this worth it? Yeah, it looks like it. I wasn't sure if that'd be worth it. I don't know if I would have bought back there. Having seen what happened, I kind of feel like it's okay because you're just a support, and it got Faceless Void a kill. Yeah, we'll say it's okay. I might carry Dust for the Sand King too, so you don't always have to use sentries. Though you do have a Zeus, so maybe it's fine. Thinking about items here, I think this ward, by the way, this ward spot's a little weird to me because it's like right next to the outpost, and the outpost sees like right here. I mean, overall, this is still pretty good. Like, you see this area, you see this area. But like against a Pudge and a Storm, you kind of have to see them sooner. You know, so if like Faceless Void is like walking through here, Pudge, like if they have vision up here, they're not someone who has to like walk up and fight the Void. They can hook from like out of sight back here, and or like zip in really far, and then Lifestealer is like inside the storm, and then they jump you like that. So I think your vision needs to be a little further out. You have to find a time when it's safe to do so, but like you need to see them coming in the first place and not like in your own base at this point. So like even up here I think would be a little better. It's a little more standard, I know, but if someone's dewarding here anyways, they're probably putting the sentry here or like here anyways, so they're gonna see this no matter what. And so positioning this in a place that lets you see them coming in is a little better. Another question you had is about itemization. So when is it good to get Aether Lens first, and why is it so common on Grimstroke? This game, on your team, it's not that important. For me, the reason I think about Aether Lens is that it is nice for your other spells, because your cast range on like the silence is like, it's moderate, but Inkswell is kind of short. So the Aether Lens to help with that is nice. But really to me, it's about this Soulbind. Depending on your lineup, it is really important to get Soulbind off immediately, or it's not. It's one of those two. And on your team, it's not so important. You only have... The Wraith King stun is great. But just for Wraith King stun, like, you don't really need it. Zeus, he's got 2 spells that will, you know, double cast. But look at their cooldowns. 1.6 and 6 seconds. So, you know, if he casts his spells once and, like, you haven't soulbinded yet, and then you soulbind later, he doesn't care. He's just going to cast these again. So, you know, it's not a big deal. And for that same reason, Wraith King, like, also doesn't mind that much if you have not soulbinded yet. Because he can stun, then you soulbind a few seconds later, and soulbind will last long enough that he will then get another double stun off before soulbind is over. But then you have a Jakiro and a Void who don't combo at all. Low cooldown spells that combo with soulbind are great, but not critical. On the other side, you have things like the Zip and the Electric Vortex, which is a moderate cooldown, plus he has to use a lot of mana to zip in. Plus he's going to buy an Orchid and later like a Scythe. These are all fairly decent cooldowns. Pudge, Hook into, or not Hook, the Dismember. Decent cooldown, you know, 30 seconds. These are spells that are only going to happen once. in a team fight. Sand King, Burrow Strike, that'll happen multiple times. But still, it's 11 seconds, so it is nice to get the double off, but it's not critical. Other ones like Doom and Rupture, those are really big. So when you have a hero like that, who they would like to get a Soulbind Doom off, but they have to go when they have to go. Like if they see someone they have to use Doom on, he can't wait for you because otherwise the opportunity's gone. And it's in those cases where Aether Lens is pretty good to make sure that you have the cast range to get it off, and why I also sometimes get Blink on Grimstroke, because it's so important for me to Soulbind first for my team to do anything. In this game, you don't need it. If you're on the other enemy team, I would say I would actually probably go to the Aether and maybe even a Blink. How does this man know you're here, actually? I guess you used Q, but then he just went for it? That's kind of wild. I guess he is really strong. That's crazy. Actually, that's wild. Let's go back. I want to see his... And he just does it? What a guy. Holy crap. I can't believe that, actually. The balls on this man. So this game... This game, I would say, like, Glimmer, Force, or Yules are all okay, I think. You got a Windlace. Looks like you might go Yules. Now, even though you guys are getting killed a lot, I guess you still have some towers. You have the mid one. That's the most important one. You have lost 2 of the side ones, though. Not great. Don't have any towers on your own. How's Void doing? He's number 1 on your team, but still behind the Storm and the Lifestealer. So at this point, the game is a bit rough. I don't think you have to use sentries as much to check high ground and stuff if you have a Zeus, by the way. I mean, I don't mind that you did it there, but it's definitely nice to let Zeus do some of it so you can save a bit of money. Zeus is having a rough game here. At this point in the game, I feel like you have to plan to play for the high ground defense. It's split pushing isn't really an option against the Storm Spirit and Lifestealer and Bud, all of them. But especially that Storm, who's doing really well. Refreshing the ward there. I'm okay with that. Find a kill there. Okay, Storm kill. Nice. Wow, that went pretty well for you guys. Sick. Yeah, I gotta hit him with the voice lines after that. They should have known better. Why are you diving a Wraith King against the Faceless Void? Okay, that actually helped a lot. Because you guys were doing... Oh, that hook almost got him. You guys were having a really rough time. Uh-oh. Void, what have you done here, buddy? Oh, I think you're dead next now. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, Void shouldn't have stayed. I don't mind you going to help. If you didn't get hooked, I think you guys both would have gotten out. That's too bad. But yeah, you guys are, I think, have to play for the late game at this point. Let's take a look. Did I have all your questions? Tips on winning fights and objectives after that. I think that's the only thing we haven't really talked about yet. All right. What you guys did there, like you won that fight and you got a mid tower, I think that was good. So we'll see if there's another fight that you guys take and then don't really capitalize on. Again, another like very defensive ward. I think you need these further out. You need to see them coming in. If they're already in your jungle, then it's like it's too late at that point. They've either killed someone or you're already out of there. So it needs to be further out to see them coming in my opinion. A nice attempt. Unfortunately. Okay, decent Soulbind. Okay. Yeah, Void back on top, baby. That's our hope here. Exactly. Good use of your spells there. All right. So actually, this is perfect. How do we capitalize on this? What do we do? So if you're you, crazy, what if you were Grimstroke here? What would you do?
You should have known.
you don't actually do anything to this tower, really. I mean, obviously you have a bit of damage, but actually a little less damage because you have this Philosopher's Stone. And you've got 2 cores here. So they'll take this tower on their own, and you just need to stay in the area to you know, if a fight breaks out, you help out. So some stuff you could have done in the meantime, if you had any wards, they're all dead besides the Storm, and you see the Storm there. So this, if you had a ward right now, and say, for example, hadn't warded your own jungle, this would be a great time to sneak in here and place a ward. You want it to survive, because God knows the next time you'll be back here. You just want to see people in here. You want it to survive a long time. So don't put it somewhere very obvious, like right here, or like maybe here. Not that these are bad ward spots, but if they suspect you've walked into their jungle to ward, where are they gonna, if they had to blind check, where would you put a sentry? I would put one like here and then have a courier check this, and I'd put another sentry here. I do this regularly. I can tell when someone's like not great at supporting because they put their wards here, and when I don't find anything, I'm like, damn, they're good at supporting. Their ward could be anywhere, and I don't want to place like 5 more sentries, but you kind of have to. And that's what you want to do. You want to put your sentry, or sorry, your observer, you know, here's okay. Over here is a little weird, but depending how they place the high ground ward, they could find it. I like this spot a lot, and this works for me in a lot of my games. You see this nice little X. A lot of people don't check here because it is in between this area and this area, so it tends to survive. And many people don't put the sentry on the ground here, even though they should. They tend to just put it on this high ground. Sometimes putting it like somewhere weird here also works, even though this isn't the best vision, but people don't really expect the observer to be here. Point is, you just want a weird ward in this area. So that's something you could do. You could also stack this hard camp right now. You're not doing anything. Stack this for your team to farm as they leave. Cores are getting a little distracted here. Yeah, take the tower, guys. Now they're up. So if you had warded, you would have done that and then walked out. And in fact, if you had, depending how you place your ward, you might have seen 2 of them TP in here. Let's see if this bites you guys in the butt here. Someone could have farmed the stack on their way out. Yeah, it looks like it's okay. You guys get out. Can you see how maybe you guys get jumped there, though? Because the core's kind of dilly-dallied a bit, and you had no vision here. So, like, if you had a ward and had gone to ward, that could have protected that. In this case, it doesn't matter, but it's like, you know, you do things to just generally be good, and if they, like, those habits will save you in other games, even if they didn't matter this game. And we're kind of back to chilling. We're back to, like, letting them dive us and then use Chrono. You do have Chrono. Actually, just... Am I crazy? Oh, I must have been looking at a different cooldown. Chrono's about to be up. Fantastic. I don't know who called this. This is great. Great time to Chrono again. Soulbind? You panicked there a little bit. Let's look at it again. Let's break down a team fight. So I think this Soulbind, this smoke is great. Walk up this cliff though with them, I think. I think you'll still be able to Stroke of Fate these creeps, but Stroke of Fate can go down the cliff. You cannot go up and down this cliff. So this seems really minor, but this is like 3 seconds that it takes you to like walk up and down, the difference of that. And in those 3 seconds, it's like you need it to Inkswell, you need to Soulbind, you need to Phantom's Embrace. All of that is possible. So this is a minor positioning mistake that can have a big difference in how a fight goes. So for example, let's see. Okay, Soulbind or this Chrono goes off, and you're like, oh shit, I need to be there. 37 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Isn't that kind of what we said? I was a little over. So it was about 2 seconds here to here, but then from here to here where you are now, before you cast your spell, that was literally 3 seconds. So if you had walked up here and then you Stroke of Fate this way, and honestly, this tower's not that low, like it'll be okay. If you stand up here, for one, if you're down here and you Stroke of Fate, their creeps, depending how you position, in this case, I don't think it mattered, but depending how their creeps position and how close you are, they might see that your spell comes out of nowhere, and they're like, hey, he should be smoked. Or like, where is he? He must be smoked. If you do it from the high ground, as long as they don't have vision here, they see the spell come out, and they're just like, okay, Grimstroke's in the area, but they don't know you smoked because you just did it from the high ground. So lots of little implications here about being on the high ground versus low ground. Your spell still going to come out in time. So even if you'd been up here, this is when I would recommend you use the spell. But you know what I mean, that it could have made a big difference. Especially if your team was a more soulbind heavy team. Also, the Aether Lens. So in that case, you were like 3 seconds before you could cast a spell. The Aether Lens cuts that down to like 1 second. That's why people buy it. So soulbind right here would have been really good. Even though you're dying, your job is to like soulbind and throw out the Phantom's Embrace right here. And then maybe drop a sentry, but actually looks like you have a sentry up already. I don't think it would have mattered in this fight, but there's a chance where you soulbind. It depends who you targeted, I guess. But let's say you soulbind the Lifestealer. They kill the Sand King. So he's stuck with soulbind. Maybe the two of them end up getting soulbinded by accident, like as a fight breaks out, you know? And then they're dead in that case. So really important to get the soulbind out there. Even if you don't get the duo spells aspect of it, it just leashes people together, and that part is really good. Oh, what a guy. He gets a haste rune. I can't believe it. Get him! Nice. You guys have chased a little far here, and honestly, I don't even know if the storm kill was it was probably worth it, except for this chasing all the way out here. Let's go back a little bit. Oops, went back a little too far. So right here, since you're dead and they're alive, if he didn't get this haste rune, I would have chased until he got this haste rune, and at that point, it's like, ugh. I think now is a great time to just like push, get a bit of tower pressure. Though, honestly, I don't hate getting the storm kill either, because like we said, the later this goes, you guys will be fine. And for that, getting these kind of kills gives you more time, because storm won't play far. But that's why like this chase ended up being a bit too far, and now these guys kind of look like they're dying. But maybe not. Oh, but maybe so. Yeah. So in the end, definitely a bit of a chase too far. Maybe they could have just done Roshan there, to be honest.
For my coffin.
Farming small camp. I think that's fine. Kind of just chilling, waiting for everyone. How's the chrono cooldown looking? You've got a smoke. Now would be a great time. Okay, so once again, you've warded your own jungle just at a potential time where you guys could move out. So this comes down to ward management. It is okay. You don't have to drop your wards immediately every time you pick them up. Sometimes you want to wait until you have a chance to place them deeper. But if you always place them defensively just because you have them, well, then you can't do that. So especially if you think you're going to smoke soon, I highly recommend try to hang on to a ward or two so that as you go out, as soon as you see these, you know there's smoke right there. Let's go back. Smoked there, immediately back up, because odds are they're all here. And hey, look at that. They're pretty much all here. Sand King's a little lagging behind. If you want to take a 5v5, it's okay. You need Skeleton King to TP in immediately. And as soon as you see he can't TP in yet, you guys can't engage this. You know they have a smoke here, and even though you know they're here, they actually should also know you're here, because they dropped the ward and they should see that you have a ward and a sentry, which means they should know that these just appeared out of nowhere for you guys. So taking this fight the way you guys are right here is very risky, because they have the high ground and you have the low ground. And you don't have a front, like, Skeleton King is the frontliner. This guy needs to wait for people to come in to Chrono, and you need to kind of wait. Like, you don't want to be in the front line. You need to throw out all your spells. Zeus doesn't want to be in the front line. Shakir doesn't want to be in the front line. So you guys kind of smoked without a frontliner, hoping for, I guess, Void to find the Chrono. But that's kind of why you need Skeleton King. He needs to go first because he has the blink and stun, and he doesn't care if they all go on him because he'll just die and reincarnate. But you guys, like everyone else, wants to be in the back. So that's why this smoke, I think, felt awkward, even though this appeared. Now in the end, you still get a pretty good Chrono. get them both. All right. All pretty good here. Roshan. I should have done a pop quiz. Too late. Pop quiz? Yeah, I think right now is a great time to do Roshan. This tower doesn't matter that much. They're all dead right now. I would... How come I can't draw? Oh, we're not in free camp. Zoop. Hey guys, Roshan. Let's go. One person can push this. It doesn't really matter who. Maybe Jakiro, and then Jakiro TP's over. But everyone else should run straight to Roshan and do Roshan. And whoever pushes this tower, like, say this to the Jakiro, I think that would have been fine. Does anyone have bots? Zeus has bots. Perfect. Zeus can push this on his own. He won't die because they're all dead. And if he dies, it's his own fault. You guys get to Roshan. He pushes, gets this first tower. This tier 2 doesn't really matter. And then you guys go. Zeus just TP'd out. Like, miscommunication here, guys. Some of you are engaging while some of you are TPing out. So that's why you have to set the plan ahead of time. You have to say, get the tower and get out, things like that. So your team is on the same page. So right now, Wraith King just died for nothing.
The quest for ultimate glory continues.
Yeah, why not be? It's just... for sure. If I told you guys you could get Roshan or a tier 1 tower, what sounds better at this point of the game? Sounds like Roshan, right? So... that is what happened. You guys got this tier 1 because you happened to be in the area, but one hero could have done it. Zeus and Jakiro, maybe. Because the two people that need to do Roshan are the Void and the Wraith King. And then anyone else there just helps. Really, the Jakiro is the most useful, so maybe those three go. You push the wave with your Q, so does Zeus. You guys don't actually do anything to Roshan. But then you TP over to, one, be safe and not feed, but then also, in case they come fight Rosh, your spells are good for team fights. And then Zeus has bots, so he'll join as well. Uh-oh. Void just died up there alone. That's not great. You're positioning a little dangerous right now, considering that they just killed the Void. Yeah, I would just get out right now. You guys might lose a tier 2 tower here. Nope, the enemy team's gonna do Roshan. Uh-oh. You guys can't really contest this. You have decent spells for contesting Roshan, to be honest. Zeus, great at throwing out AoE damage. Jakiro, good AoE as well. And you, like, good AoE, plus you soulbind. So, in a matter of a couple minutes, we could have gotten Roshan. We didn't. We ended up getting a tier 1 tower. This should have been, you know, not the best, but it still should have been okay. But then we stayed too long, died, so we all had to come back and play safe. That led to Void being on his own. Now Void died, getting jumped by this Storm and Lifestealer combo, killed him, and then they took Roshan. All of this could have been prevented if we went to go do Roshan instead of getting this tier 1 tower, or maybe we split up like we said and got both. I'm just trying to paint that picture for you guys so that we can see how... Sometimes it's not clear, like, oh, you make this mistake, like, what consequences did that have? In this case, your team doesn't go get Roshan, and as it so happens this game, it leads to the enemy team getting Roshan. Like, sometimes it's not clear how these things connect, but that's what I see right here. You are going for an Aether next. Aether is still a generally good item. Well, this is a little awkward. I guess let's play out the fight first. Good soulbind. Gonna get at least 2 kills for this. You don't have to... Okay. So. Why are you standing here? Why are you standing like so close to him? Actually... Hold on. Let me see this again. Where's Pudge? Pudge goes that way. Alright, actually, you know what? I like this. At first, I was like, this is bad. But then I remembered Pudge is in the game, and this is actually very good. I don't know if you intended that or not. So I'm gonna... Let me say this. If Pudge was not in this game, I would say this is bad. Because you're a backline support, and there's no reason for you to be, like, right on top of him when you have someone else to be like right on top of him. Now, debatably, you could be next to him to try to get Phantom's Embrace off as fast as you can, and if that's the case, I'm kind of also okay with that, but I'd want you to be on this side. What is happening to this Ice Path right now? Although I kind of would have assumed, I would be hoping that Jakiro has Ice Path. I don't know if I would have clicked him in time to see if he did have Ice Path or not, but I would assume that Ice Path is going to come out, so I'd have time to get all my stuns, my spells off. But with this Pudge in the game who might hook out the Storm, standing there is pretty good. For your items now, in fact, you could still fix it. I think a Lotus Orb is really good this game. And we saw it just there. How did Void die? A bunch of single target disables. So if you just Lotus Orb to protect him preemptively, I think that would be great. You're kind of depending on Void to do a lot this game, so you need to help protect him. So that could be like a Solar Crest, but I think the Lotus Orb would be really good against so many disables. All right, Zeus his TP just got canceled. You guys have to be really careful here. I think this is pretty scary. It's just 3 of you. Even if Zeus gets here, it's just 4 of you without your Void. You kind of see this fight looks like, well, I thought it was going badly. It's kind of working out a bit here. Void, buddy, get in here. 3-man Chrono. Big Chrono, let's go. Nice. All right, I would have felt more comfortable waiting for the Faceless Void to respawn first before you guys did what you did. I would just take your kills after the Void, be happy with that, go push out the lanes and farm up a bit. Because again, we think you're going to be fine in the late game. You just need a good Chrono to win fights. And you still have all your tier 2 towers, so like, we're okay kind of just waiting, let Void spawn, let's smoke up, look for a kill, something like that. Now in this case, this is kind of what we wanted, but just in a way that had a lot more risk of throwing. Where if Void had not TP'd in, got that Arcane Rune, all of that, if Void did not happen to find a 3-man Chrono there, if Void was dead a little longer, that fight ends up really bad for you guys, and maybe they start getting another tower, or maybe they snowball that into a Roshan, stuff like that. So I think you guys should have played safer there, but it did work out here, and it looks like you guys are going to actually no, you sent me a really long game, so you guys aren't gonna lead to the win here anytime soon. It looks like it's a bit of a counter throw because the enemy bought back, it looks like. To be honest, I would have thought this was kind of okay for you guys to do, to poke this a little bit. No reaction, huh? Yeah. Okay, so I do think this should have been fine for you guys to do. As soon as Pudge buys back, I think everyone should be cautious. Because the other 2 were about to respawn with that Pudge, I think. Or someone else was about to respawn with a Pudge. I don't think you guys need to win right now. So you just need to make safe plays and look for reliable fights. So pushing high ground there is not necessary. I don't mind poking it because they're all dead, but if someone buys back, then I'm just going to like, all right, I got a buyback. I'm happy with that. Let's just go back to farming. And then we wouldn't have thrown 3 kills here. However, this does open up a win condition for you guys. If you kill Storm and this Sand King, you should be able to straight up end the game or get multiple sets of racks. Except you don't have these tier 2s, so those might have been a more reliable objective. I don't know if I would just use this to leave the fountain. It is kind of a long cooldown. 15 seconds. Okay. Smoke.
Stupendous.
Alright, actually, I wasn't paying attention to the mini-map. Let's redo this. Everyone look at the mini-map right now. Smoke. Where do we go, though? Because we don't see anything. And we need to find Sand King or Storm. So as we proceed here, you guys shouldn't see this. This is like a bit of a bug. You see yellow. So you guys go to yellow. But I mean, he's just a lion. So it doesn't feel that great. Oh, you don't even get the lion. Oof. That's rough. Stop chasing. At this point, immediately stop. Once you reveal yourself, like this is kind of a tense game. If you guys, it could go either way in this next fight. So it's very important to take a clean fight here. A clean pickoff, like lion, not the guy you really want. But if you get a lion kill, okay, we could turn that to something else. As soon as lion gets away, and then you ult, and you see there's 2 here and 3 here, that means a fight, a 5-on-5 could break out here. Maybe you guys win that 5-on-5. Maybe you lose that 5-on-5. It's kind of risky. You don't want a 5-on-5. You want to find 2 kills and then go for the 5-on-3, or use those 2 kills to go take towers and establish your advantage. In this case, you're actually behind a little bit, so like to catch up. You don't want to risk the 5-on-5 in this kind of game. Even though you should kind of know, like, oh, if we kill like one of these people who bought back, we have a really good chance to win here. Okay, safely look for those. Because if you guys lose here, then it doesn't matter that they bought back because they won the fight. Anytime a smoke doesn't work out cleanly and then you have to chase further in, you should be really careful. You don't want to be in the front, like, ever. Let Skeleton King be the one in the front. All of you are backline heroes. This is one of the slight draft issue. Skeleton King is the only guy who wants to be in the front. You have to let him be in the front, too. This is another issue. You guys smoked up as a group. I think that's great. And then you all just, like, scattered into the winds against a Storm Spirit and a Lifestealer who can infest bomb and find any kill. This is a very tense moment in the game, which, to me, clearly you guys don't realize that because everyone just, like, woo, scattered. So, after that failed smoke, like right here, you have to pick an objective to go to together. Whether that's to move through their jungle and drop wards, which you can't help but notice, again, you don't have. Oh, no, you put one here. Okay, that's fine. Oh, and you... Oh, no, this was for earlier. So, you have to hold. You have to stay together. You have to pick one. It doesn't really matter which, but I would say top. Like, at this level, like, as long as you do things together, that's more important. But higher than that, you would want this top half because Roshan is spawning soon. So you guys want to play the top half. So all 5 of you should come up here. Maybe one person pushes this lane. The issue with that, though, is that it reveals where that person is, and then you guys might end up in a 4v5, and that would be bad. So you guys should come up here together. Drop wards if you have them, which hopefully you would. You can farm out this area. You can take this outpost. You guys can pressure top. And then, with your good vision, or if you see them scatter, you see someone go bottom, someone mid, someone top, sort of like what you guys are doing. You guys make another smoke movement, or just a group movement in general, and try to find a kill. Then you get Roshan. And then because hopefully you've captured this tier 2, you can now get 2 sets of racks off that Roshan and a kill. These are all scattered now. No, the scattered right now, though. And I kind of feel like we might see someone die. Hey, look at that. Who's better at finding pickoffs? It's them. Look at them. And Storm and Lifestealer and Pudge and Sand King and Lion. Literally all of them are great at jumping people and getting kills. And you guys scattered into 5. The only guy who can show right now without better vision, unless you see multiple people who you're most worried about, the only guy who can really show is the Skeleton King. Because if they jump the Skeleton King, it enables literally everyone else on your team. As soon as they use the jump, like Storm zips and uses a bunch of his mana, they use Blink, Skeleton King stun, or Sand King stun. Zeus is now a lot more safe, so now he can just throw out damage. Void gets to drop a chrono on everyone who just jumped the Skeleton King, or maybe he goes and kills the backline, who knows. In this game, probably more important to kill the main people who jump. Jakiro gets to land all his AoE spells. Grimstroke, you get to land all your spells. This is the kind of thing that's really hard to coordinate in Divine, though, to be honest. And one of the issues with... Not like issue, but it's like... It's something the players in this bracket need to learn to like keep improving. Is like understanding what needed to happen there. Because you guys... It's not just you. All 5 of you scattered, which means no one on the team realized we cannot do this.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Because if one person realizes it and says, like, we need to stay together in this part of the map, like, I will say it preemptively. As we smoke, I will say, like, look for a pickoff, or, like, after it fails, I'll say, everyone stay together in this top map for Roshan. Very simple. Like, this is what we need to do, all be together, and then give, like, a very basic reason to stay for Roshan, and maybe kill someone who wanders up here. Like, sometimes I'll add that part. That presents a very clear plan, and at Divine, everyone should understand, like, once you say it, it's like, oh yeah, being in this area for Roshan and getting a kill, it sounds great. But if no one says anything and you guys go, oh, let's just back, the smoke failed, you see what happened. Everyone scatters. And, like, honestly, that was a potentially game-losing maneuver. Okay, let's slow down here. Pudge. Take a Pudge kill. He also bought back, so that's fine. Now go do Roshan. Roshan. Go do Roshan. 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 Alright. Back to your question about how do we capitalize on fights. Let's go back. Roshan or 6 creeps? 6 creeps? Are they going to take this tower? No. They will not. No enemy hero is showing down here, so there's no reason to think that this tower will lose more than, say, 200 health. Okay, that's fine. Roshan? In fact, it's not even up yet. But you guys don't know that it's not up yet. It very well could have been up. I don't know. I haven't been keeping track of the time, to be honest. It's weird when we, like, zip around here. It doesn't even matter if Roshan's up or not yet, though. All of you need to be here. You've got a guy with Nimbus. He'll push out whatever wave he needs. If anyone goes back, it should only be the Zeus, because Zeus has this lower cooldown Boots of Travel. Who went back? The guy with the Chronosphere, the huge teamfight winning spell. And then another guy who can't teleport all that much either. The support who has to land, like, these backline spells, all that jazz. Now Roshan's up. Oh god, you guys are just going for it. This is terrifying. Looks like it's gonna work out though. Whoa! This was far riskier than it needed to be. After that Pudge kill, you guys just go straight to Roshan. Ward up on this high ground. One person breaks smoke. Probably the Wraith King, except he'll... at this point, Void can solo do Roshan solo. Maybe, like, send the Skeletons and then just Void, Skeleton King break the smoke. But, like, everyone needed to be there. Like, you guys scatter again. And that's really scary. You're going for a Scythe here, which is a generally good item. I do think a Lotus Orb still would be nice, though, to protect the Void. But I don't mind the Scythe either. Like, I think they're both good items. Where the hell did this lion just come from? Alright, let's slow down here. Alright, so what should the order be? Who needs to be in the front? So, Skeleton King can be in the front. And now, because he has Aegis, he could be in the front. But honestly, he doesn't need to be. Skeleton King can hit this tower perfectly fine. So I think Skeleton King should be up here, hitting this, being the front line, and Void still sitting in the back, waiting for the Chrono. This is stuff you can say. You can just say, like, let Skeleton King hit, and everyone stay behind him. This guy should understand that. I think he's a carry player, though, so his tendency to dive might be, you know, overwhelming. But doesn't it make sense? Let's watch this. Watch this again. If this was Skeleton King, would you even care? No, he's got reincarnation, and he's the offlaner. So it's like, it's fine. If this was Skeleton King, would you care? If this was Skeleton King, does this not look like a wonderful 3-man chrono right here into Ice Path Macropyre? And then who even cares that this lion just randomly jumped you in the back line? I don't know what he was doing. I don't even know where he was. I think he was like up here somewhere. Does that order not make a lot more sense than whatever this is? That the Wraith King with a 40-second reincarnation spell uses his life instead of the Aegis. And the 40-second reincarnation spell probably would have led to like 1 or 2 kills based off what just happened there. Instead, we just traded like Aegis and reincarnation and you for a lion. And now we're still going for high ground? What? I would get out of here. Your team's wild. Alright. So in this case, he was not quite able to kill the Lifestealer. Part of that might be because of the tower armor. But imagine if you had a Macropyre in there, followed by another 2.5-second stun after it ended. Which could have happened here if Skeleton King had been here instead of the Void. The order of heroes, like the physical standing order of heroes, matters a lot in these kind of fights. So like Lifestealer should be dead from that chrono if you had like the Macropyre and everything from earlier. And that's why like staying here to keep trying is like really weird to me. Without the Aegis, without all that. And because of that, you took your Aegis and cheese and ended up with like you didn't really get anything from it, really. This Pudge, no fear. I thought the Storm might zip in. I thought that's why maybe the Pudge was doing this, but no, he's just no fear. Oh, there we go. 30 seconds later. Slow down a bit here, huh? Thank God we killed him in the end. Alright, enemy team decides to throw, counter throw. Thank goodness. Okay, let's evaluate that as well, huh? Let me show you why everyone just throws in these games. Alright, Skeleton King has buyback, has reincarnation. It's not that important to kill, but we dive under T3 towers, all 4 of us, and Lion very close. That could have been a 5-man chrono if he had it. But he's dead anyway, so it's fine. But it does set up a very nice ice path. And a bunch of damage under Nimbus and all these creeps. Storm ends up dying, or Zeus ends up dying to the Storm dive. But because of that, Storm used a bunch of his mana. And it let you get a very nice Soulbind here into a bunch of other spells. Now, he's up. They have forced buyback, but like, why wouldn't you buyback here when they're like under your base, right? Now, fortunately, he died. I think you even... Oh, no, it was the dot damage. Fortunately, the Storm died. Almost got away from that hook. But, like, why were they doing that? Think about the physical order of... In this case, it wasn't so much about the order of people, but more about, like, who they were jumping, which put them all in the same place against a lineup that has Jakiro and a Chrono. And, honestly, the Inkswell and Stroke of Fate is no joke either for grouping up. So, and like the Soulbind, the Zeus, all that, like, you guys, your positioning, like, Skeleton King should have been in the front, Void in the back. Their issue is, like, why did we just clump up for a Wraith King kill? And we didn't even kill him in the end, because he has reincarnation. Whoa, who could have seen that coming? If you do that against a Void, it's kind of okay. Like, if Void was the one here that they all jump, like, that's not such a big deal, because if you're chain disabling Void, can't get a chrono, all that. A couple BKBs mean that like the ice path and all that won't stop you from killing the Void. And Void doesn't have a second 40-second life, so... Okay, our turn. Let's counter throw back. Everyone run down mid. Okay, but this does look better. Chrono not up yet. Okay, Storm buyback. You're still okay to poke a little bit. You guys, way too close though. The 2U supports further back. This damage on Jakiro has put him in kill range. I wouldn't be surprised if Storm kills him here in a second. And you know why he can do that? Is because he's showing. He's showing right here. What is stopping Storm from getting some mana and zipping right back down to pop the second life and kill Jakiro? Because we're all standing right up here in a line, which means we all have to run it like this instead of you guys being able to throw out Ice Path safely and then back up. Does no one respect buybacks? I feel like we keep watching, like, you guys, like, run in against buybacks and then you guys just stay. Guys, when people buy back, just get out. It's okay. You don't have to, like, you don't have to keep going. All right, one more time. See the enemy team do it now. You'll have Chrono for your next fight, but the enemy may just end the game here. They have a good amount of time. You just need to not die. Do you have buyback? You do. It's still pretty important for you to not die, but what you're doing right here is really good. And I like this. So I would have taken the... I don't know when you took this. I wasn't paying attention. Usually, I really like the +3 hits to kill Phantom, especially against like a Storm, and like a Sand King who doesn't have like the best auto attack. And silencing those guys for a long time is really good. But in this case, to defend safely like you are now, this Stroke of Fate is really good. But you and Zeus have to stay really back. And Zeus in particular has to stay really far back. You have buyback, so you can die like this. And it's not the... Like, obviously it's not ideal, but you can. Now, both of you have to be really safe. It's just a set of racks. Who cares? Who cares? Say it with me right now. I don't care about this set of racks as long as we don't lose the game. You just need to not lose the game. And if you look at their lineup, only Lifestealer is really good at taking buildings. Unfortunately, they do have catapults here, it looks like. But you need to stall. 14 seconds for Skeleton King. 26 seconds for Chrono. Ice Path and all that stuff, that'd be great to have. But as long as we have Chrono, we can win a fight, and they should not push this. So, like, just sacrifice that Rax. Okay. 10 more seconds. 10 more seconds, just wait! It kind of looks good. It just would have been safer. Okay. Alright, your turn. You guys run down. Go throw. Let's see it. Someone should check Roshan. Again, I don't have a great sense of timing on these when we watch like this. Someone should check Roshan, though. You guys get a bunch of wards. It's supposed to be that whoever wins the next big fight, like 10 minutes ago, should have won. But we keep throwing back and forth, so I don't even know if you guys winning the next big fight will win. But really, that's my goal here. They have 2 dead, but it's not enough time for you guys to end the game. Void's not that... Like, Void's pretty farmed, but he's not a hero that kills towers that quickly. And look at his build. Bash doesn't affect towers. MKB doesn't affect towers. This stuff doesn't help him kill buildings that quickly. Skeleton King's kind of good at it, like AC and skeletons. But do you think against the Storm Spirit, you guys can take 2 tier 4 towers? You have to ignore Rax. You'd have to kill 2 tier 4 towers and the Ancient next to their fountain, where Storm can just zip here and then back repeatedly, doing a bunch of damage. A Lion about to respawn and a Sand King in a minute. About, I say, but like 37 seconds. Like, so you think you can physically walk here, which takes like 10 seconds to 15 seconds already, and then end the game in another 20 seconds. If you don't, then we can say we could get these racks. That might be okay. But it's honestly not that critical. Like, if you win one more fight and you kill 3 heroes on their half of the map, you will just straight up end the game. You don't need these racks. So that's why the most important thing right here is to get a good fight and straight up win. Not like, oh, let's risk it for a set of racks. It's like, well, we could lose. If you lose a couple heroes, you will lose the game because like they will walk straight down with some mega creeps and probably take your either mega you, in which case it's going to be really hard to come back. Maybe you still do, or they end the game. But you guys, Like, you can't even mega them because you didn't take this tier 2. So right now, with Chrono, you guys are really strong. I don't think you have to... I mean, let's see what you do. I'm, like, putting all this out there, but it is looking like you guys are just walking up here. You're killing me. Oh, man. Killing me. We have to get out. Take this Rax and get out. I don't even know if you take this Rax. Oh, God. I'm not all about, like, all chat flame, but I'm feeling it. If I'm on Sand King's team, I'm also feeling that right now. All that needed to happen. If you guys want these racks, all that who is the one guy who has buyback on your team? Who also has a 40-second life that he doesn't mind blowing because he can always just, like, blink out of it and stuff, and BKB and all that jazz? Who is the guy who's got an Assault Cuirass, BKB, has skeletons who do a lot of damage? He should be in the front. No one else should be up there. Only Skeleton King walks up here and hits these buildings. Everyone else waits in the back with their AoE BKB piercing ability, and they wait for them to jump the Skeleton King, because I don't care about the Skeleton King. He's bait. He is bait. Oh my god, I died a little inside. Oh god. Okay, you guys have to just wait in base now. Oh my god, if he dies, you guys are done. You have to just wait. You guys, this is why you have to wait in base. You have both sides have the damage to win the game right here. No one's farm really matters at this point, unless it's to get buyback. Both sides do not have buyback. This is the state of the game. No one has what's the buyback button? Yeah. Like, no one important has buyback. In fact, Skeleton King is pretty important. He has buyback, so that's great. Pudge is buyback. We don't care that much about Pudge. No one else, like, has buyback for a while. One good fight ends this game here. No one needs more farm. You just need one good fight. Both sides are farmed enough to win a fight if it takes place in a way that is favorable to them. So all you need to do, you don't need to look at, like, map pushing out lanes and worrying about objectives and all that. Like, yes, somewhat. The only thing that matters right now is vision and team positioning. You need vision to spot the enemy team and to not get picked off and to potentially find a fight yourself. And then you need to position well for those exact same reasons. Pushing out lanes, great to scout the enemy team to force them to react, stuff like that. For farm, absolutely not necessary. You only do things that are safe right now. What you guys are doing is insane to me. Like, walking out of the base against a Storm Spirit when you don't have Chrono. Crazy. It's so scary. All 5 of you need to be together. You can't split, like, 2 supports off. No one has buyback. The one guy who can potentially split off is the Skeleton King. I had my hands off the keyboard. You know why they're not afraid to do this? Because you don't have Chrono. That's why you all have to play super scared. Yeah. So, to many people, this part of the map feels safe. But past, like, I don't know, 30 minutes, this is not safe. There comes a point where these towers don't really dissuade cores from getting kills when it really matters. That might... Okay, 30 minutes is a little too soon. But, like, at this point of the game, you don't even have buildings here. This is your base, but, like, nothing protects you here. You guys actually need to be positioning, like, back here. Storm would be a lot... Like, all of them should be more scared about zipping here. You know why? If you put any kind of ward out here and you see them here, if Storm zips back here, no one, no Lion, no Pudge, no, like, Sand King, none of them can get back here to where you guys are. Which means Storm jumps someone alone, and it's unlikely you guys kill or get killed. So if you guys are way back here, then the best they can do is they come up here and they're attacking these tier 4s, but you guys can poke with your spells and stall it out a little bit, that's the best you can do. Like, this is already a game-losing position without that, the chrono leading to nothing. You guys have to, like, stall out for chrono and hope that they don't manage to take these buildings. And as they start to, like, get these towers, maybe you look for a fight under these tier 4 towers, but it'll be you jumping them and not you getting jumped here. That is, like, your one chance at this point in the game after that failed chrono. And that's, yeah, that's kind of it. We don't really need to say much more than that. Yeah. There's, like, very little else you can do. The main thing, and I think it's actually quite fitting, like, Divine players, you're getting to the point where you're, like, relatively good at the game, and you probably, like, you know your heroes, you're not doing, like, dumb builds. Like, I know you had some build questions, but, like, what you were building obviously makes sense. You know, it's not like those lower brackets where they're like, do you know that you're an intelligence hero and this is a strength item? You know, stuff like that. From Divine to Immortal, I mean, there are a lot of differences, but one of them is, like, some of those hero positioning stuff that we highlighted a lot in this game. And in Immortal, it'll still happen. I still see it in my games, but it happens a lot less. People understand much more what needs to happen, who needs to be in front, like, what their job is, and what needs to happen to make it easier. So, like, I imagine Void knows I should look for AoE Chrono. In fact, all of you guys here, your whole team probably knows it is great to get AoE Chronospheres, and that probably wins fights and games, right? But then there's this next level of, how do we set that up? Does it make sense for Void to be in the front to find an AoE Chrono? Or does it make sense for the Skeleton King to be in front to set up the AoE Chrono? Like, it sounds so obvious now that I'm saying it out like this, and yet clearly it wasn't clear. It wasn't obvious to people playing the game. And in fact, it's funny, most Dota lessons are obvious. Once you say it out, you're like, oh yeah, I should have last hit. My bad. Or it's like, oh yeah, I shouldn't have been there and died. But, I mean, that's Dota. It's so complex that, like, everything, even the simple stuff, starts to be, it's hard to, like, grasp all of it. So for you, even though you are not in control of these other 4 heroes, if you can take what I said today and apply that to your games and realize you've noticed a couple fights where Void is in the front, Skeleton King is in the back or something, and you say to your team, hey guys, Skeleton King should be in the front, Void, just wait for a good chrono. That one sentence can literally could win you this game right here. This game could have been won if several of your high ground pushes, Skeleton King had been standing in the front instead of Faceless Void. That was literally what caused this game. And a lot of other small reasons, but, like, fixing that one thing could have won this game. And that's kind of the summary of this game, I feel like. I didn't, like, your laning was pretty much mostly fine. And I think we addressed all the questions. I'll check real quick before I end. But it really did come down to a lot of positioning stuff. Not by you, but, like, by your whole team. And this is the part that makes Dota hard. It's tough to control the whole team, but you do try to have to highlight that stuff from them. And it's not strictly your job as a support, but it can be your job as a Dota player in a pub game team. Like, someone needs to highlight it for your team, and it might as well be you. So yeah, I think we answered all your questions. If I didn't, feel free to reach out. You're on the Discord. You can say hey, and I'll try to address anything we didn't. I thought your play was pretty solid overall, though. We did point out, like, some smaller things, which debatably maybe it's not small. Like, positioning in the correct place, warding in the right space, like, that is kind of big. But it seems, I don't know, it seems small. It's not like, you're in the totally wrong lane, dude, stop doing this. You know, it's not such an obvious mistake. It's the less obvious stuff. And I think that's very reasonable at Divine. You've got a lot of the major concepts down, so now it's all these smaller things. And then the overarching issue of, like, the team positioning, which we mentioned. So that's it. That's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.